Hi everyone, welcome to Blueprint with Sohel. Today we are going to make a foundation, a very basic foundation for a multiplayer vehicle game. We are going to talk about the session thing, host session, join session, and how to spawn cars when someone actually joins the session. In between, we will talk about game instance, game mode, those kind of things. And yeah, we have a time limit, so this video is going to be 0 to 60 in no time. So, so first thing first, I'm going to use Unreal Engine 5.5 for this whole thing. And okay, let's call it multiplayer vehicle. And here it is. If we click play, yep, here it is. You can drive that car. Okay, so let's get started for our own demo. First, let's make like a folder. Let's call it levels. Let's make a level and call it main menu and open it up. So the main target here is to like have two buttons, host and join. So for this, we already have this level main menu. And if we go back, make another new folder, let's call it UI. Now let's make a user interface, the widget blueprint. And if we go here, user widget, let's call it UI main menu. There it is. So first, let's make a canvas, and in that canvas panel, we are going to put two buttons. Okay, let's fix the alignments and core middle 0, 0 and alignment 0.5, 0.5. Here it is, our first button. Let's make the name here. Let's change the name, basically host, and let's add another button. And in first, let's change the name, join. So we have two buttons, but obviously we have changed uh, the names over here. But we need to have the text. How will people know? Like, wait, which one is which? So let's get the text from here and add with this button icon. I have already done that for host, and this is how you basically make the text with the button. And then we are going to select the text and type host. And you can see like it's not perfectly aligned with, like it's not in the center with the button. What you need to do here is like click on the button icon and then size to content. Ta-da! And here it is, another one. For join, we are going to change the text for the join button and click on the join button and click on like check the size to content. Ta-da! We have got those things. Let's change. Let's make the alignment perfect with the previous one. And center 0.5. Here it is. So here is our two buttons. You need to make sure one of those things. If I make, if you click on the button, you'll see like here it is variable, but you will see it's not checked on those tags because we don't need those two things, but we need this checked is variable for the button icons for both of them. And that will allow us to search here events on clicked. If I disable this or uncheck this one, you see those events are gone because this is not a variable. So you make sure that this one is checked. So right now, while selecting host, let's get on clicked. And also for the join button, let's click on join and on clicked. Okay, so for host, what the button should do, it will just create a session, right? Create session. And the thing is that I'm not going to do this over here, and there is a reason for that. Yeah, we can do actually these things over here, but think about that. If there is a player who wants to like, if you are a developer and you are going to make a like full blown up game, think about that. You will need so many other things with this one. Even before creating a session, you may need login, you may need registration, and all those things for authentication of that user. So we are not going to do this over here. What we are going to do is that let's get back to content, make a new folder, and let's call it game core. And we are going to get a new thing, and that thing is blueprint class game instance. This one, this game instance. And I'm going to call it pp game instance. So what is game instance and why game instance? The thing is that game instance stays with you between the levels. It is always valid, and the most important thing is that it opens up with the game and it is there until you close the game. Every player, whoever will play this game, will have their own game instance. Kind of like, think about that. If someone is logging in and from maybe Steam or US, wherever it is, they can have token authentication, if their account settings, their profile settings, and everything. So you can put everything in game instance because everyone will have their own game instance, and that is valid between the levels. It does not care where you are, in which level you are in, or which UI you are using. It is always there, kind of like your backpack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a custom event over here, and we're calling it host, and another custom event, and we are calling it join. So this is our two custom events. First thing, what the host should do is create a session. We'll get the player controller, and public connection is like how many people should join or can join into the create session. It's I'm going to use 10. I'm just for testing purpose, I'm just going to use LAN. That's it. And for join, let's for join, yes, check. Here it is. Find session. So let's go like get player controller. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to populate like, okay, there are like this many sessions. I'm just going to find one and then I will just join on. But before that, I just want to make sure that there is a join, there is there is a session to join basically. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to check the length of this array, this array. So what is this array and why I'm checking the length of it? If you see here, it is the array of blueprint session result. So what it is going to do, people can create like hundreds of sessions or no sessions, no active player. So what it will do, like find session node will try to find every session that is hosted, and then basically this thing will store all those session data into this array. So how many session we are going to find out or try to find out? We're going to like 99. Yeah, max. And yeah, use LAN. I have checked over here, use LAN. So yep, I'm going to do that over here also, and use lobby if available. Yep. As like people will create these settings of session, I will use the same settings to find out. And so if and only if this array, the array of result for finding session is greater than 0 on success. So yeah, if only if there is a session to join, then I will join session for sure. But wait a second, which session? What I'm going to do, I'm just going to get a ref or a copy, the very first index, this one, and get player controller. And if not, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to print nothing found. Another thing, so when the session is like created over here for host, what we want it to do? First place like print. I'm sorry, I am basically, this is my way of doing, making sure if everything is working perfectly or not. Session created. Oh, session created, and after that we need to like move to the label. This is basically foundation, so we just check. Okay, if the session is created, we move to the label to check. Okay, if actually two player can join in the same session and drive the car to that. So let's open label by object reference. I already know which map to pick up. This vehicle example map is basically comes with the vehicle template of Unreal Engine 5.5, so I'm going to use that. And for option, I'm going to type listen. Why? Because I don't have a dedicated server basically. So what is listen server? So the very first thing is listen server is when someone is hosting the session, his PC or her PC, the user's PC, will be used as the main server for that session. So basically, what will happen if someone hosts a session? If someone hosts a session, that person's PC is going to be the server for that session. So yeah, his PC will be used as a server and also a client for the player to play. So that's why I'm going to use listen, and that's it. That's it in here. If you want, we can use a variable is host just to like know if the player is host or not. And how we will do that? We will do that from here. Get game instance, and from this event construct, we're going to get cast to where? Cast to our BP game instance, and this is the object. I'm just going to make a promote to a variable as so that we can have a reference of that thing. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep it over here. If someone clicked host, I'm just going to set is host, copy and paste. If someone is clicking join, obviously that person is not a host. And if someone is clicking host, so yep, we are pretty much sure that is the host. Let's do this. And what next? So when someone is clicking the host, obviously he wants this one, right? The game instance or host custom event. So we are going to call it host over here, and then we're going to call it or join. So that will be perfectly working around if we do the next thing. So what is the next thing? The next thing is when you change, or if you want to change the main instance of the whole project, what you need to do is basically you need to go back, edit project settings, And on this all settings, let's start for game instance. Over here, game instance class, you need to make sure that you have selected your own game instance. Otherwise, that thing won't work. So if we try to do it over here, obviously nothing is going to come up. And why? That is because we need to do is we need to add this UI with this level. So how to do that? We need to click on over here, open level blueprint, and even we can play, create, create widget. What we called the widget is UI main menu. Let's add to viewport, and then I'm going to get player controller. Even though this will make sure the UI will pop up in the level, and for the rest of the part is this and game mode set input game mode only or UI. So what we are going to do, we are going to do input mode UI only, set input mode UI only. So what it will do, it will not lock our mouse if we click on the UI. And another thing is show mouse cursor, set show mouse cursor. And what we are going to do is like make sure the mouse cursor is shown. Now, if we click play, yeah, there it is. And if I click host, yep, the session is created and the player is has spawned in the level which we wanted. But the funny thing is that the car will not move. And why is that? Wait, when we played the single game, single system, the car actually moved. But when we got into here, this system, the car is not moving. The main problem is what we actually did just right now is this thing. The input mode has been set to UI only. So we need to make sure when the level is loading up, we'll make the set input mode to game again. So what I'm going to do is vehicle template max, and here it is that level, vehicle example map. If we go over here now, open level blueprint for this one, what we're going to do is player controller, get player controller, and set input, set input mode game only. And another thing is set show mouse cursor unchecked. We'll keep it as it is. This is unchecked. And now, where is our level? Level menu. Now, if we try to play it, and yep, the car is moving, but obviously the host is moving right now. Now let's check if our join button is actually working or not. Number of players 2, net mode play standalone, and let's select over here standalone game. So let's test host. So as we already know, the host is perfectly working. Now let's check on join. And the join button function is perfectly working, and then as you can see, like I can move both of those cars. So yeah, it's working. As we already know, like two players can actually join simultaneously and can actually play, but there is a problem. This is one of like kind of like a classical problem. Let me show you. Like this is host, and yep, the host is here. I'm not going to move this car right now. So if I click join, we'll see that actually the client cannot join. The host is there. The client cannot join. And you may ask me, wait, we could have joined like in the last test, like a few seconds ago, and now it is not working. And that reason is when the client is trying to join, the host, the player start, is right there where the host is basically standing. And that's why, even though the whole system is perfectly working, but the client cannot join. So what we need to do, we need to make a few of the changes in game mode. So first content, and the game mode is basically in the vehicle template for this template. And here in blueprint, you can see here vehicle advanced game mode. So if you open it, you will see like bunch of default class settings. And then we are going to click on open full blueprint editor. The very first thing I want you to change is this one, this default pawn class. We are going to change it to none. So basically, whenever someone starts playing, there is no pawn to play basically. So we need to tell the server, hey server, whenever a new player is joining, spawn a car for them. Or if you are making a game with a character, spawn this character. For us, we are going to tell the server, hey server, you need to spawn this car or vehicle for this new player. So what we are going to do, we are going to get handle new player, event handle starting new player, and if you look at here, we are just going to spawn actor from class. So the class, the pawn where we were basically driving was sports car pawn. And right now, so what we are doing, we are telling the server, whenever a new player is here, spawn this car. So now where to spawn this car? So the very first thing is find player start. So we got it, like where to spawn this car, because if we don't say anything, where the car will spawn. If we split this transform, it will spawn at 000, but that's not where we want it. There is a player start in that level. So we are going to spawn this car at that place. So actor location, get actor location, and we're going to pin that up with the spawn transform location. Now what? So the server will spawn the car whenever a new player joins the session. But we want the player also to tell, like, hey player, this car has been spawned for you. Who says this car? So what we are going to do, we are going to get a pin from here, this new player, and we are going to say possess. And over here, so the server is telling the player, hey player, possess this in pawn. Which pawn? This pawn actor which we spawn for the player sports car pawn. We're going to tell the player to possess this car. So that's it over here for the game mode. So this thing will be done, this whole process will be done in the server. Remember one thing, game mode only exists in the server. No player can actually call the game mode and get anything out of the game mode. It is impossible. Only the server can do that. So if we do this, there is another thing we need to change. That thing is over here, this collision handling override. So we are telling this basically we are telling the server to spawn a car where on the find player start. This is the location where the car will be spawned. And that was basically the default thing in the last test where the car was not basically spawning when there was already a car at the find player start location. So what we are going to do is like telling the server to do one thing is this collision handling override over here, try to adjust location, but always spawn. This setting will change the whole scenario. If there is already a car at that location, the new car will always spawn. Maybe the location will be over here, here, or on the top of that, anywhere. But there will be a car for the new player to get possessed by the new player. There will always be a car. That was the thing we were missing in the last test. Let's test out and see what happens. Host, host will always work perfectly, and I'm not going to move the car. Now let's see what the join button actually do. There is a huge chance the car will be obviously on the top of the car. It will spawn on top of the car. And here it is. Yep, yep, they are here. So, so this is the basically what we wanted to do is like spawning two cars and making sure the whole thing actually works. But there are a few things that you should do. The very first thing is if you go over edit, project settings, and now into the maps and modes, you will see over here this game default map. So you should change it to that level, which is your very first level, basically. For me, our system, this is level main menu. So this game default map is that map which will be opened when someone try to play your build version of this game, or you are trying to play this game in Unreal Engine with a standalone mode. And this editor standard map is that map which will be basically loaded up when you open the whole project in Unreal Engine. And another thing is, let's go into the game instance. The whole thing I did with LAN, but if you are not using LAN, just like EOS or Steam online subsystem, you can just uncheck those things, whatever you need actually. But this whole system will work with Steam or EOS or any online subsystem, basically, whichever you select as the default subsystem. So that's it, basically. You have learned what is game instance, what is game mode, and how to handle a new player when basically someone joins the session. Hope so you have actually learned something, and hope so I have helped you on something new. So that's it for today. Hope so we'll meet again. Thank you.